Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance. All backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
Listeners of the Randomness of Nothing podcast, this is your host, Rashad Woods. As always, I always talk to entrepreneurs, go-getters, and the people who are in your ear telling you you need to get off your couch and act on what you're thinking, because there's no substitute for action. Coach Jay Sargeant is here. He's a Shift Project Academy CEO. He's led multiple businesses, and he's here to tell you how you can pivot in life even when you think you can't.
It's great to be here, Rashad. We had such a good conversation rehearsing for this moment. A lot of laughs, a lot of basketball in our background.
Yes, we did. And you're from Boston, which is obviously this, the history of Boston Celtics basketball. And, you told some wonderful stories with Bob Cousy involved, which was just fantastic.
18 championships to the Lakers 17. Never forget it.
If they may not get the 19th one, if they keep shooting that many three-pointers, tell them to put their head down and drive to the basket once in a while, man.
Oh, my God. Some nights they're great, and some nights I want to shoot myself. Yeah, there's got to be more balance.
Yeah, it's gotten a little out of control, but they have a lot of talent. But they were missing their best player in the playoffs this year. So,
For sure.
You guys still have a bright future ahead. So thank you for being on the show. Your talent and your accolades speak for themselves. Can you give an introduction of all the things you've accomplished and continue to accomplish?
Well, I don't want to do a laundry list of my victories, and there's been a bunch.
Yeah.
I've lived 78 years. In 3 weeks, I turned 79. I pinch myself. I can't believe how grateful I am to have lasted as long. But maybe what our listeners want to know is how I transitioned from one thing to the other, and the variety of things I've done hopefully are inspiring to others.
Beautiful.
So I started off this lifetime, Rashad, as a community organizer. I did that 7 years of my life, morning, noon, and night.
Beautiful.
And then in a moment, I found myself with a young family and not enough money coming in to sustain us. So I made a shift from community organizer and, drum roll please, to tennis professional. And I had never hit a tennis ball before I made that reinvention. And we'll go into that in a moment. From tennis pro, I got unhappy. I was top of the game, academy, summer camp, champions all over the place. But then I got bored, and I have no tolerance for psychological or emotional pain. So I shifted again, and I became a franchise developer after hating catch it. Number one, couldn't stand business, never read a business book in my life, would never buy Entrepreneur Success or Fortune magazine at the airport. I'm right over there with Tennis Magazine, Sports Magazine, Sports Illustrated. So I go from community organizer to tennis pro to franchise developer, and then I catch a break. I find a body of work that I love that I'm going to share with everyone.
Beautiful. Called
Neurolinguistic Programming. I read 11 pages in a book, and I become an NLP trainer and create $11.2 million worth of sales in that category. And then at some point I decided, what am I consulting to other companies and increasing their sales efficiency for? I might as well develop my own sales team. I'll get more money, more joy, touch more people, and create equity for my family. So I took the body of work and built a team of 675,000 distributors in North America, creating 50 millionaires in the process of doing it. And then again, I tapped out. I said, you know what? Enough of this already. What do I do next? And what I did next is what I'm going to go do after you and I finish. I became a pickleball coach in the midst of this crazy thing called explosion of pickleball.
Yeah.
I've now got 2 kids on the national tour, sponsored by big sponsors, that 13-year-old children that I'm teaching, and they're going to be on TV soon. So what I'm here to teach and help somebody out there, Rashad, is I want people to know 3 things. Entrepreneurship and reinvention is not being in the right place at the right time. It's not getting lucky. There's no luck involved. It's a skill. There are things that you need to do to have the masterpiece that you really want, called your life.
Yeah.
And I came up with, as I wrote this book right over my shoulder, The Gift of Reinvention, I just wrote the book for my kids, so my great-grandchildren, when I'm in heaven, would know the Ray Sprinkle story, would know the George Nadaff story. And then as I wrote the bloody book, I realized, wait a minute, I could turn this into a teaching, because there's some really predictable steps. You've got to shift the way you look at yourself, shift the way you look at opportunity, and shift the way you take action. And man, once I saw those patterns, I said, you know what? I think I should meet Rashad and talk to his friend.
Thank you. And somewhere in this universe, it's because, but you know what the thing is about it? And it's funny you said that. I had to shift my mindset in order to have you on my show, because a year ago and some change, I wasn't taking those steps, right? It was always like, I want to start a podcast. Well, let me just watch this next Netflix show and then hope that it happens, right? There's no substitute for action. You don't have to have all the answers, but you have to have a starting point.
3 principles emerged, Rashad. Number 1, credentials are overrated, and I'd like to explore that with you.
I saw that.
Number 2, there are no small moments. And number 3, it is never too late to shift. Take a look at this old geezer here, 78, and being on your show. You know what I'm doing? I'm shifting again. I'm creating a new program again. I'm creating a training track again. I've assembled a small, dedicated team at 78. I have grand hope for the next 10 years sharing this information. So, it's I'd like to explore those 3 topics if we could.
Of course, that's what the show's for. That's what the show is for. And I'm glad you're willing to share this information, because I think it's important for people who are listening.
Yeah, let me talk about the first one, credentials. Now, I want to make it really clear. I sent 3 glorious daughters off to college because they wanted to go to college, not because I cared, because they cared. And they did really well. I've got a 54-year-old, a 37, and a 33-year-old daughter, and 3 grandsons, a brand new one. He's only 2 months old, little baby Odin.
Beautiful.
So I believe in education. And certainly, Rashad, if you and I got hit in the head and we were being delivered to an emergency room for surgery, we would hope that the surgeon had credentials.
Of course we would. Pray to God.
So what I mean by credentials are overrated, this is a program for entrepreneurs. This is a program for people who have a product or a service, an idea that they want to bring to the world. And what I typically get when I'm teaching folks to make this beautiful reinvention is, Jay, I think I need more information. I think I got to get another degree. I think I need to get permission to do this. I can't give anyone any advice till I have something up on the wall, a degree or a plaque or somebody tapping me. No, that's not true. It's not true. And so what I like to do, Rashad, if it's okay with you,
of course,
is I like to tell a story to illustrate these points.
Of course.
Because so I want everyone to imagine I'm out on a tennis court and I am now bored out of my mind. I've got pros working for me. I'm making money on stringing. I'm making money on dresses. I got a pro shop. I've got a summer camp, and I have clinics that are full and lessons. I got waiting lists like crazy, and I'm charging big money for everything. And I'm a kid. I'm a kid with a 32-inch waist, 6'2", whatever, and I'm making. Do you understand? I'm making major money, but I'm out on that court,
bored out of
my mind. But I'm going, Jay, you're a glorified construction worker. You're hitting tennis balls 8 to 10 hours a day, 6 days a week, and is this what God put you on the planet for? And I'm having this conversation
That's
out
amazing.
on court 8. Okay, you get it? So now I gather up, I get this idea, and I want to share this. This is a practical idea for our listeners. I get this idea. How do I get out of this? What do
That's
I do
amazing.
next? I don't have any family money.
Yeah.
I'm a blue collar kid. My
Yeah.
father's a Teamster, delivers newspapers. My mother sells ties over a counter at Filene's basement. And I don't have no inherited wealth. I have no degrees in anything. So I say to myself, I'm going to ask the 5 richest people I know whose children and wives I teach what I should do next. I'm going to ask them to take a lunch with me. Let me buy them lunch. They could buy me 1,000 times over, this group. But let me buy you lunch, and I just want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
Now, I'm going to brag a little bit because one of the people, it didn't turn out to be fruitful, but it was lovely. One of the people that I went among the 5 was Robert Kraft. And Kraft, as you know, owns the Patriots. And I was teaching Bob. I was teaching his wife, Myra, God rest her soul. And I was teaching his boys. Certainly the little boy who's now become the president of the Patriots. He was in my Tiny Tots 4 to 6 year old program with amazing. Kevin McHale's son and John Havlicek's son. That was my Tiny Tot program back in the day.
Wow.
So I go to these rich people and I say, who am I? What do I do next? If you're me, if I'm your son, what are you telling me? You've watched me for 7 years in action. Tell me what I do next. Every one of them, Rashad, said, Jay, you need to sell something, and you need to sell something big, because with your ego, you can't sell pencils. You've got to sell high concept things that have big commissions. And so I was thrilled to hear that. I didn't know how to do that, but thank you. Yeah. One of them, God bless him, I want to give him credit, Mark Roberts of Atlantic Steel, family owned, the largest steel company in New England. Mark says, Jay, I'm going to set you up with George Nadaff, the franchise king of the United States, the most important person in franchise development. I'm going to get a meeting with you and George because, number one, you're going to love one another. And number two, I think you fit in what George is doing.
Wow.
Said, okay, what do you mean by that? He said, well, he sells $250,000 franchises by putting ads in the Wall Street Journal sectionals, taking space in very beautiful hotels. So if you're in New York, you're going to be at the Plaza. If you're in San Francisco, you're going to be at the Fairmont Hotel on Nob Hill. If you're in Chicago, you're going to be at the Hyatt Regency downtown, blah, blah, blah. He puts men and women in front of qualified audiences. They give a 45 to 60-minute speech, and out of that, he sells $250,000 franchises. Wow. I think you might be a fit. So, okay, great. Now, I want everyone to know this. I'm going to take my time so that everyone gets a lesson out of this. On that day that I'm going, or the days preceding the meeting with George Nadaff, I start to try to prepare. I can't learn business and franchising in 48 hours. I don't actually. So what can I do? I went and bought my first blue suit. Do you understand? I go to Simon & Sons in Copley Square in downtown Boston, and I buy a power blue suit. I don't know what possessed me, because I went to Filene's basement and bought a Mark Cross briefcase. The briefcase cost more than the suit. I never used that briefcase one day in my life. Do you understand? I never even opened that briefcase, but I wanted to walk in George's office. Yeah, I wanted to look the part. If I couldn't be the part, I wanted to at least look the part. On the day I'm meeting with George, I walk into his office and I was scared out of my mind. I want everyone to understand, just like you pinch me, I go, ouch. I walk into this massive office, bigger than the space I was living in, his office. He's way the hell down the end of the way there, behind this monstrously large desk. And I go, whoa, anyone with an office this big and a desk that big has a major set of, we used to say in our neighborhood, gouillones. Do you understand? Whoa, my God. Whoa, this guy must be bold. I mean, his reputation precedes him. And look at that space.
Yeah.
I walk in front of him. I sit down, and he says, I hear such wonderful things about you from Mark Roberts. He tells me you're a talent and there may be a fit here. And I said, well, I agree. He says, so let's begin the conventional way, Jay. Can I see your resume? And I said, George, I don't have a resume. He said, oh, you mean you didn't bring it? I said, no, I don't have a resume. He said, oh, well, that's interesting. You came to an interview without a resume. Well, then talk me through your business background. Yeah. And I said, George, I have no business background. In fact, I don't like business. Yeah, wow. I don't know anything about business or franchising, but I'm prepared. Mm-hmm. He said, prepared to do what? I said, I hear you put people in fancy hotel rooms to sell big things by giving a speech. Is that true, Mr. Nadab? He says, yes. I said, then put me on the team. I'm the best stand-up speaker you ever met. It doesn't matter what the content is. I'll learn that. But at the end of the day, if you want someone to stand up in front of 50 to 100 people and get them to do what you want them to do, I'm your man.
Beautiful.
So he smiles, and I know he's thinking. And in that moment, I said, but I can prove it. Don't take my word for it. I don't have to bring my mother and have her tell you how pretty I am and how smart I am. I can do this all on my own. I'll tell you how I'm going to do it. Is that your brochure over there? And there was a trifold, those old 3 trifold brochures. Does that describe your franchise offerings? He said, yes. I said, I'm going to take that brochure and I'm going to go into the lobby. Give me 15 minutes. I'm going to study the brochure and then I'm going to come back in here and give a presentation. Put all of your sales beasts and animals in the room, the people I'll be competing with. Put your managers, your executives, and if you have any partners, bring them all in the room. Right. And in 15 minutes, you'll either throw me out or you'll put me on the team. End of story.
Right.
So he says, kid, you go. I wouldn't be telling the story if it didn't have a happy ending, Rashad.
I'm about to say, man, like, yo, man, you set this up. There's got to be a fitting conclusion to this one now.
So I come in and I give a 8 to 10 minute presentation. Everyone needs to know this because this is instructional. I knew the moment I walked in the room that all the sales veterans thought I was an upstart. What in God's name was I doing here? They wanted to shoot me. Do you understand? They wanted to beat me.
The people with the credentials.
There they are. I deleted them. I teach this. I deleted them. They were gone. Right. I had an audience of one, George Nadab.
100%.
I'm dancing. I'm grooving. I'm firing off spatial anchors. I've got little stories that I developed.
Unbelievable.
I'm going, doing my thing. When it's over, George throws them out of the room. He says, get out. All of you out. Jace, come here. Sit down. You guys get out. He said, kid, you didn't say one thing right. There wasn't one accurate detail. It was the weirdest presentation I've ever heard, but it was the best speech I've ever heard. I can teach you the details. Yeah. We can smooth you out. Content won't be an issue, but I want you in front of my audiences all over the United States. You're on the team.
Beautiful.
Now, I had no credentials. I didn't need to wait for permission. Nobody who's listening to us, no one who joins what I'm doing. I'm creating an online course, Rashad. We talked about it. I'm not ready yet. In the next 2-3 weeks, probably by the time you publish this, they'll be able to go to the Shift Academy, the Shift Project.academy, and take a look at the course. But at the end of the day, here's what I'm telling you. If you're waiting for permission, it will never come.
Oh my God!
What do you think, Rashad?
Listen, that is music to my ears and to my heart, because the idea that there is the perfect time or that you need to wait, it doesn't exist. And then you take it a step further, particularly in this digital era that we live in, you really don't have to wait. Like if you sing, for instance, right? You can sing in your bedroom, the bathroom, the closet, your car, right? And you can put your material out there. You don't have to stand in front. And I'm not knocking the people that are the talent gatekeepers, but you can put your music out yourself, cultivate your own audience, and then get leverage to get a better deal, right? So
100%.
I have a podcast. I was like, if I waited for somebody to, hey, do you have radio experience? Do you have TV? You're like, no. Are you under 20? Because we want to be able to have you have a certain look. Like, no, I don't. But you know what? To hell with it. I'm going to do it on my own out of my house and see what happens. And then, 200 episodes later, a trip to LA at the National Social Media Awards, I kind of did something right,
You sure did.
Because I didn't wait. Do not wait. It's not happening. and you don't need to tap somebody on the shoulder. And people who make decisions will, if you ever get in front of them, are going to be like, why did you wait? What was you can't come to those people who actually can make decisions and impact on your lives and say you were waiting for the perfect time.
Mad respect.
Thank you.
I'm going to go into my second pattern that I see, if it's okay with you, Rashad.
Of course.
And that is, there are no small moments. There are only moments that you miss the signs.
Of course.
And you and I know this is a game of patience. On the day you did your first podcast, you didn't know what the 50th would look like. You didn't know you'd get to 100. You certainly didn't know you'd get to 200. So at the moment, I'm saying the following. Get busy, get active, get out of the living room, get off the Barker Lounger, get into activity. Because sometimes in my long life, I have taken a bad gig to get a good gig.
Oh, yeah.
Because I said, you know what? It ain't what I really want.
Right.
But at the end of the day, if I'm out among people, maybe I'll discover something.
Without question.
So we're going to dive into storytelling time. I think you'll like this one, Rashad.
Can't wait.
Believe it or not, I left George Nadav. After 1 year, I walked into his office. I had rehearsed the whole night before. I was sickened by the idea that someone who had been so kind to me and given me that step up, that I was leaving him to compete with him, create my own franchise development company. And I was scared a little bit as I walked into the room because I don't like delivering bad information, like we all don't. I mean,
of course.
And the second I opened up the door, he looked up from way down the end and he said, "I know what you're going to say."
Oh, snap.
I said, "Really?" He said, "Come sit down." He said, "You're going to tell me that you're leaving, that you're going to compete with me, that you're going to work with Mark Roberts, who lent you to me, and the two of you boobs are going to create your own franchise development company. Is that what you're about to say?" And I said, "Oh, George, yes, that's what I'm about to say." He said, "Okay, kid, couple things you need to know. Number one, from the day I met you, I knew I was renting and leasing, not owning.
Damn.
A talent like you, I know you're going to move.
That's powerful.
God bless you."
That's powerful.
The second thing you need to know is Uncle George is always here. I'm grateful for what you gave me for a whole year.
That's amazing.
And I'm not saying this is going to happen, kid, but if you stumble in your new venture, if you fall down and cut your knee, the light is always on here. You can always come home. There'll always be something for you to do with me because you proved yourself in action, not just word.
That's amazing.
Just all remember.
And just disarmed you. Just completely.
Just lovely. And I have done that. I've built a lot of businesses pursuant to that moment. And there are many times where people leave me that I've given the same exact speech.
Beautiful.
So God bless George. He's in heaven now. Now, here's what happens. Mark and I go into business. We develop a franchise development company, and we are terrible.
Oh, no.
We're not making any money. We gather up these little dinky accounts in the New England area. I'm still back in Boston, and we are bleeding. We're not in the black. We're in the red. He's wealthy, so it doesn't matter that much to him.
You're selling
living on fumes. I'm taking all the money that I made with George and all the tennis money, and I'm throwing it into this little franchise development company, and we're suffering a bit. Mark says to me, "Jay, I'm going to have a little cocktail party over at my phenomenally beautiful home on 171 Heath Street in Brookline, Massachusetts, an address I can't even go by. Do you understand? It's a place I would never, the table we ate on was like $100,000 worth of Italian marble. So anyway, I don't want to go to that meeting. I'm going to share with everyone something that maybe they'll find fascinating. You guys think that I'm interesting, I hope and pray.
You are absolutely fascinating.
I've got skills.
You do.
But I don't like to be around people that much. I'm selectively gregarious. I'm a very private, very introverted individual. I'd rather be reading a sports book.
The social loner.
ESPN endlessly than being among people. So when I get going, I have to engage. I have to turn a switch on and say, do it.
Right.
When I get this invitation to this dinner party, I don't want to go. I would prefer to just hang out in a t-shirt, a pair of shorts in front of the Boston Celtics, the Red Sox, the Patriots, or the Bruins. It doesn't matter. I don't want to go to this fancy party. That's not my bag. But I realized, number one, I got to go do something. That's my principle.
Yep.
So I go to the party, and my major thought is maybe I'll meet someone. I mean, who knows?
Of course.
The guy next to me, now I'm so old that no one in our audience will probably know this name.
Okay.
But the guy next to me, not because we meant it, it just was divine intervention, is Mitch K. Poore. In 1981, there were only 3 pieces of microcomputer software. The Big Blue hadn't entered microcomputers. It wasn't an IBM computer in the space. Ataris, Trash 80s, Commodore 64s, and Apple IIes on 5.25-inch CPM operating system disks. Yeah. And there were only 3 pieces of software. Remember, I don't know anything about this. I'm at this cocktail party, smelling good, looking good next to this guy. I turn to him and I do what everybody needs to do. Listen, everyone, please listen, please. I turn to him. I'm not going to tell him my story. I turn to him and I say, how are you? I'm Jay Sargeant. Who are you? Mitch K. Poore. Wonderful. Great to meet you. What do you do in this lifetime?
Absolutely.
He says to me, Jay, I developed something called VisiPlot, which turned into VisiCalc, and we've just introduced it in the last year as Lotus 123. It's a microcomputer software program.
Wow.
At that moment in time, there's only the beginning of Microsoft Word in word processing.
Yeah.
There's a thing now, everyone, please, if they're taking notes or they're riding along the freeway, know this. The second player in the category is Ashton Tate. They've got a thing called DBase 2, a database management program. And then there's Mitch K. Poore with 123, Lotus 123. I am sitting next to a titan, a giant in an emerging wave industry that I know nothing about. Nothing. It's 1981. I get him to describe it. I go into awe, oh my God, this is so exciting. So then, now here comes the moment. Here comes my moment. Everyone's got to memorize this moment. Yeah. When he has talked for 25 minutes and given me his entire life story and his game plan, I say, he finally, Law of Reciprocity, Cialdini, influencing great book. The law of reciprocity always works. Once he's gone for 25 minutes of me interviewing him, he then gets apologetic and he says, I've been so rude.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.
What do you do, Mr. Sargeant? And I then said, and this is a choice, not a chance, choice. I said, I own one of the most powerful franchise development companies in the world today. We specialize in taking early concepts and turning them into market leaders. What would you do if you were me with that company in your space? And he says, very simple. There are now 2,000 computer lands selling $5,000 boxes and no software. I develop a software retail chain and put it across the street from a computer land. It will go bonkers.
Dang.
So now, man. So now I go, are there any of these that exist? He says, to the best of my knowledge, since we sell software, There are only 4 we're currently selling software to. One's in Boston, one's in Washington, D.C., one's in Chicago, and one's in L.A.
Yeah.
The next morning, without permission from Mr. Roberts, Mr. Fancy Pants Wealthy, because he was wicked conservative, right? I decide to take the last money I have in the world and buy tickets to go across the United States and cold call on these locations.
Dang.
Based on, do you get it?
Yeah.
I go to the Boston one, it sucks. I go to the Washington, D.C. one, it's worse. I go to the Chicago one, it's got crickets. There's no movement. There's no merchandising. There's nothing going on. I'm getting a little discouraged. On a Saturday, I finally arrive in Los Angeles. I take a cab to Pico Boulevard, and I see Software Center International on Pico Boulevard on the west side of Los Angeles. I walk into the store. Now, remember, it's not Bloomingdale's. It's not a merchandising paradise. It's card tables with the 4 different computers on the card tables, allowing people to play with the little bit of software. Back in the day, we thought Pong. Boom.
I remember that. I remember it.
Yeah, it was thrilling.
Yeah.
So I walk in, and here's the difference. There are 50 to 75 people in the store on a Saturday afternoon. Now, they weren't normal people like you and me. They were Caltech copter heads, the kind of early adopters that made their own computers.
Exactly.
But there was energy in the room that was spectacular. I go over to the guy behind the counter. He looks like a skateboarder to me. He looks like a surfer. He's a gorgeous boy with blonde hair and blue eyes. He's behind the counter. And I go over to him and I say, I'm Jay Sargeant. I'm a franchise developer. I'm a kingmaker. I'm looking to take one of these software retail stores and make them the name brand. I like what I see here. I need to get to an owner. Can you help me? He says, well, I'm an owner.
Ain't that so? Yeah.
12 years old. And I go, oh, really? Are you a decision maker? He said, oh, no, I just own a little piece. I said, well, who is the decision maker? Now here, drum roll. This is a big moment.
I'm waiting to hear it.
George Tate.
Wow.
Where have we heard that name? Ashton Tate, one of the 3 developers of the only software in the industry. The legendary Ashton Tate of D-Base 2 fame. George Tate himself owns this little 1,500 square foot retail location. I am excited beyond belief. I get the address from the kid. It's a Saturday afternoon. I take another cab. And as we're going, this is a funny moment. As we're going for me to meet George Tate, the great George Tate, for the first time, I think I'm going to go to Bel Air, to the house next to Magic Johnson. Do you understand?
Yeah.
I'm imagining that I'm going to a mansion.
Yeah.
We're not going to San Vicente or Bel Air or any of those properties. We're going towards the ocean, and I realize I keep asking the cab driver, are you sure we're going to this address? He says, yeah, this is the address. When we get there, it's Venice, California, a long time ago, not the trendy section of Venice even back then, a junky section of Venice, California. We get in front of an apartment house with one of those little tacky swimming pools, concrete steps. I walk up to a second floor to a screen door. I knock on a screen door. I can't believe this is where George Tate lives, but it is.
Yeah.
He comes out, and you got to have the visual, because remember, I'm thinking Bel Air, and I'm not in Bel Air. And I'm thinking tall, dark, and handsome, prepossessing. The guy who comes to the door has a cigarette hanging from the side of his mouth. He's naked from the waist up. He's wearing no shirt with this hideous belly. And he's got those gym shorts that we used to run in the 70s.
He's Lebowski. He's looking like Lebowski.
Yeah, there you go.
He's looking like Lebowski.
You got it. You got it. I'm sitting there going, I'm looking for George Tate. He says, I'm George Tate. I went, well, I am the kingmaker. So I gave him he invites me in 1 hour later. 1 hour later, on a yellow pad of paper, we sign a contract, and I gain the exclusive rights to develop Software Center International as a franchise. Now, I got to be candid, and I got to really be accurate here. I wasn't at that point in my life the guy who would go get the documents, that would have the lawyer, that would get the operating manuals and procedures and the governing, the FTC disclosure law govern.
The dirty work.
Somebody had to package them. They were already packaged by someone, but they were sitting there with no growth. One unit, one company-owned unit. I'm going to give everyone a little hint here. I usually don't share this detail, but this is important if anyone cares.
Oh, they will.
Not only did I get the exclusive right to market Software Center International, but even though I was a kid, I had already been bruised a little bit. I had already learned some lessons. On that yellow pad of paper, I got him to give me a $75,000 budget for marketing growth and launch. This is in 1981, so that would be worth $500,000 now. You get
exactly.
I'm going to jump right to the chase. We sold 154 of those locations in the next 18 months from scratch. So I want everyone to understand, I'm sitting at a cocktail party in Brookline, Massachusetts, with no place to go. I'm living on a wing and a prayer. I invest the last money I have on planet Earth, and it turns out to be this magnificent project. So there are no small moments. I have 10 more of those. We don't have time for them all. At the end of the day.
But you know what it was is you didn't wait for permission. You went to something that you weren't really excited about. You networked when you didn't really want to. So all of those little things that people that are in the back of their head, I don't want to go to that event. You never know who you're going to meet when you step out of your comfort zone, when you don't overthink things and you just act on. Now, you have to be somewhat smart, but you're like, I know I have to succeed at this, and be damned, I got to figure it out. Those are sometimes when you're at your absolute best.
So I'm going to go back. Before I go forward, I'm going to go back because you just made a point that triggers in me an important point for people to know. You got to know your value proposition. When I start with a new client or in a new program, we sit down in the first day or two, we just create a baseline. What do you love? What would you do if no one paid you? If money wasn't an object, who would you be? What's your primary thing that you love about yourself? What's your unique skill or value?
Oh, yeah.
When you know these things, it doesn't matter if they fit. You fit into that equation.
And that's harder than people think.
Yeah, 100%. So the last one is, and this is, when I originally started thinking about this whole topic, Rashad, 5 years ago, Chat remembers this because I started playing with ChatGPT a long, long time ago. They remember everything.
Oh,
so
yeah,
there was a moment in my life where I was going to be the patron saint of late bloomers. That was my original thought because I did nothing right. Dude, I was the worst high school student. I got thrown out of college. I mean, and so many times in my life, I had to start over again, and age couldn't really matter. So my last point is that it's never too late.
Without question.
It's never too late to change.
Without question.
So I'm going to tell one more story. Believe it or not, at some moment in time, and I won't get into the detail, but I had what all entrepreneurs really need to understand. At the height of the most glorious moment with Software Center International, 154 units sold. In a quarter, the last quarter we existed, we sold 60 in 3 months. I sold 48 by myself. Good. I was humping and grinding. Yeah. We were winning. The stores were just doing great. Everything was great. One of the principals, in fact, I'm going to say it here. George Tate died.
Oh, no.
I go see him one morning and he's in vomit on his desk, had a heart attack, dead. Wow. His bride disbands our division of the company.
Oh, no.
We went from being amazing to non-existent in less than 30 days.
Oh, my gosh.
And again, Rashad, now I'm a full adult. I'm 41 years old. I've had this great experience, and it's over.
Over.
I'm in between trapezes. I'm having that existential moment. And you know what I did? I called George Nadav. Remember, he told me the light was always on.
Yes.
I called him up, and he said, "Oh, I'm so happy to hear from you, Jay, because the timing couldn't be better." I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "I am launching a franchise. We're going to do it out of New York City. I'm looking for a president and a franchise developer I can trust.
Wow.
I've got a big pot of cash to develop it. And I want you in New York, you and your new bride. I will pay all the costs to get you across the country. I'll wire you $10,000 tomorrow morning." 1981 is a lot of dough. I'm going to wire your money. I'm going to pay for your relocation. I'm going to put you up in mid-Manhattan, blah, 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 blah.
Damn.
And I'll give you equity and points and commissions. I go up to the bride. She's in heaven now, Lee. And I say, sweetie, she was only 22 years old at the time.
Mm-hmm.
I said, honey, we're not going to stay here in L.A. We're going to be relocated to New York. I know you've never seen New York. It's the most exciting city in the world. I'm going to be the president. I'm going to build a chicken empire.
Okay.
I'm going to be the chicken king.
Yeah.
And she goes, she hugs me, kisses me. What do we get? We got a bonus. We got this. We got stability. The second those words came out of my mouth, everyone's going to faint here. Everyone, listen here. The second those words came out of my mouth, I started taking it apart. I didn't want to do it.
Oh, no.
I didn't want to leave L.A. I didn't want to stay in franchising. I had done it.
Damn.
And I didn't want to talk about chicken for the rest of my life. That was it. And what I say to my fellow entrepreneurs and seekers is, if you don't feed yourself what gives you the nutrients you need, you'll eventually get weaker, not stronger.
Right.
And I knew that although we needed money, we needed the dough, it was a great offer. It was fabulous. In less than 48 hours, I had decided I don't think I'm going to do it. He'd already sent us the money. I didn't touch it.
Yeah. You could easily send it back.
Late at night, my little Lily goes to sleep, and I go to this swimming pool. We were at a 1-month rental because we were in transition. And I'm sitting out at a swimming pool in Marina Del Rey, one of the most beautiful places in Los Angeles. The water on the Olympic swimming pool is wafting up and down. It's a gorgeous night. I'm sitting on a chaise lounge. There's 250 chaise lounges around this massive swimming pool, and I'm deliberating. I'm going to have to tell my bride I'm not going to do it. I'm going to have to tell George I don't want to do it. But what am I going to do? And as I'm sitting there, a bald-headed man with a baseball cap and Bermuda shorts sits down next to me. Out of all those empty chaise lounges, sits down next to me. Doesn't give me his name, he says, "A penny for your thoughts." And I said, oh my God, you don't know who you're talking to. In the dictionary, next to the word loquacious, talkative, is my picture. Are you really, really willing to sit and listen to what I'm thinking about? And he says to me, yeah, go on, kid. I got nothing to do. I want to hear. This is fascinating. I give him my story. It takes 10 or 15 minutes. He stands up. He leaves. He comes back with a book called Frogs into Princes, the seminal work of Richard Bandler and John Grinder, inventing way back then a whole new methodology for therapists, psychiatrists, psychologists, masters of social work, counselors of every kind. It's this innovative persuasion and communication technique that mixes some of the most powerful elements of the time. I won't get through it. He says, this book is what you should do with the rest of your life. After hearing you talk for 15 minutes, read it. I said, well, can I give you some money? Are you going to get? He said, I mean, read it now. I said, while you're sitting here? He says, yes. He's sitting next to me on a chaise lounge. I start to read Frogs into Princes. I get to the 11th page. That's it. He's gone. I never saw that guy again.
Dang.
I go upstairs to the Oakwood Garden apartment. I wake up the bride. She's on a futon.
Yeah.
And I say, sweetie, we're staying in L.A. We're sending the money back. We're not going to New York. We're going to build an empire, training empire right here in Los Angeles. She goes, oh, this is exciting. Who gave you an offer? I said, nobody. A bald-headed guy in Bermuda. And I'm going to teach this stuff. And we're going to make $1 million teaching this stuff. It's that important. It's had that 11 pages has created that kind of impact on me. I got to cut to the chase. The next day, on a card table in my underwear, without a business card, without a plan, with only 11 pages of knowledge in my head.
You winged it.
I winged it. I call up a client. I call up a franchise development client out of Northern California. Miracle Auto Paint. They sell paint jobs, and they're a franchise, and I had helped them grow a little bit. I call up Jim Jordan, the head of marketing, and I say, Jim, baby, I'm doing something different, and I want you to hire me. He said, what are you doing, Jay? I said, I'm an NLP master trainer. I've got a technique that can take your sales force and increase their sales efficiency and proficiency by 30 to 50%. Give me your sales team next Saturday. Send me $5,000 and I'll do a day training to your 100 car salespeople, car paint salespeople.
Yeah.
And it will blow you away. And if it doesn't blow you away, I'll give you the money back that day. He says, Jay, you've always been good to us. We love you up here. Come on.
Why
up.
not? Sure.
Why not? That turned into $11.2 million of sales.
Oh, my God.
Now, based on a book and a bald-headed angel visiting me from
You never wait for the right time. You never blow off a person that could, right?
And I want people to get what I consider to be what I teach in general, but I certainly teach my kids. At that moment in time, I had to walk away again from the stable, lucrative, predictable thing and just step out on faith into the invisible. And if you're going to be an entrepreneur, I'm not saying it's always the model, but many times that's the choice that you have to make. Right. So if it's okay with you, I want to send up my grandmother. If it's okay, I want to give a shout out to my grandmother in heaven.
Of course you can. Of course.
I was raised for the first 5 years of my life, I was raised by my maternal grandmother. I want everyone to know it's Nana Lillian Jacobson. Nana Lil. My folks got married so early that they didn't have a car. They didn't have enough money for their own apartment. So we lived in a room in my grandparents' small apartment in Brighton, Massachusetts. And my folks went off. They didn't have a car. They got onto public transportation. They left me with my grandmother for the first 5 years of my life. Nana Lil was the ultimate, and I know in everyone's culture is different, but she was the boss of the family. She was the matriarch that led all of us, that gave us strength and courage. No doubt about it.
Beautiful.
When my grandfather, Papa Jack, passed way too early, she was about 65 years old, and she found a little book in a drawer where construction workers had stiffed my grandfather. He had a little dinky hardware store, and he was a soft touch. Guys would come in and say, I'm under budget, Jack. Could you give me the nails on consignment? Can you give me the tools on consignment? Can you give me the wood on consignment? And they never came back and paid him the money. She found that book, Rashad. She went and got herself an automobile license at age 65 so she could drive all over the city of Boston and knock on a door and say, I'm looking for Mr. Smith. He owes my departed husband $7.37 for nails. Shame on him. Bring him to the door. And he'd come to the door and the wife would be next to him and say, did you not pay this man the $7.31? And my Nana Lil would say, write the check right now. She collected every single penny. She started all over again getting that license. Now, I'm going to cut to what I consider to be my grand conclusion. When my grandmother Nana Lil turned around 91, 92. She's still living in Brighton, still living in that little apartment, still cooking chicken and kugel and Toulouse cookies, all of that. But she was falling down and injuring herself.
Very sad.
So my mother and I, God rest my mother's soul, my mother and I went over and had this Donnybrook. I mean, we had this fight with the old lady. We went, Lil, we got to get you in a facility. This is too dangerous. We had this big, big struggle, but we got her in. 2 weeks later, because I was on the road for 2 weeks, I go see my grandmother at a rehab center. I expect she's going to be, bam, hit me in the head because she was fine. I come in and she's beaming. Yeah. She says to me, Jay, you're an idiot. Why didn't you get me in this facility earlier?
Oh, no.
She said, I'm in paradise. Every meal is prepared. We've got snacks in the afternoon. We've got movie night. We've got bingo. We've got card games. And best yet, there was a little boy in the second grade before we moved from Dorchester to Brighton. I was in love with a little boy named Louis. He was a curly-haired little blonde boy in the second grade. When we moved from Dorchester to Brighton, I lost Louis. He's here. He's here at this facility. And this is in 2 weeks, we are madly in love. I am having my Romeo and Juliet moment.
Beautiful.
This is at 92.
Beautiful.
She lasted to 98. She had that romance
for the last 7 years of her life.
Now I go to see her. I want everyone to catch this. I go to see her for the last time. Unfortunately, I now relocated to California, so I can't see her as often. But I go to see her on an autumn day, and she's sitting in a courtyard with Louis, and the two of them have their walkers in front of them. Do you understand? They're sitting on these chairs in this beautiful little courtyard on an autumn late afternoon with their walkers in front of them. I spend an hour and a half to 2 hours with them having a great visit. I know in my mind, I'm going back to California. Maybe the last time I'm going to see her. I mean, that's just reality. Yeah. So I prolong it. I love her. I tell her the stories that makes her laugh. You know, I'm a storyteller, obviously, so I know what makes her laugh. Right. We have this delightful experience. And then I say, Nana, I got to go. Lou, take care of Nana. You guys are an amazing couple. And I'm out of here. When I left, I went into a walkway where they couldn't see me. I was above them. And I looked down through a window. They can't see me. And I see the two of them sitting next to one another. It was such a beautiful sight. And then because it was getting chilly, they get up to go back into the facility. They both get their walkers. They waddle, get so impassioned that they can't waddle anymore. They turn and they kiss.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Waddle, kiss. Beautiful. Waddle, kiss. Last images I have of Nenela. So when someone tells me, it's too late to change, baloney. I have so many positive experiences where no matter where you are, what you've done so far has given you the context, the learnings, the frames, that can allow you to leverage them and make your second half of your life your masterpiece. That's what I stand for. That's what I teach.
I think that's one of the most poignant stories I've ever heard in my entire life, not just a story of your life. And, you know, pivoting and shifting in life is tantamount to learning and exploring. And because I decided to do this show, I shifted, right? And I'm 43. Like, I started a year ago, and I literally get thousands of listeners. It's like, you know, like when I get thousands, I'm like, how? But what you have to do, like what you said earlier, you start finding your gift. You start going to things. Like, I was a terrible networker. Like, I was like, man, I did my job, I'm going home. But this was my way of getting back to networking, right? So, like, I get a chance to talk to people, learn about business, learn about life, learn about creativity. All you all are so willing to share this information with us, and you're so forthcoming about it. And for people who are listening, it's not going to come easy. It's not going to come overnight. And sometimes you just have to have your heart and believe in yourself and be a little bit insane in the process, and just a little bit crazy, and just say, you know what? To hell with what everybody else thinks. I'm just going to do it. And so I want to ask you real quick, where can people find Coach Jay Sargeant and all the wonderful things that you do and your services?
Well, in the beginning, it's an interesting question, Rashad. In the beginning, when I wrote the book for my kids, I didn't know it'd really be a book, you know, and it turned out to be a book. Then I thought, well, I'll get on these podcasts and I'll sell books. And then I realized that's not really what I want to do. What I want to do is I want to take the lessons I've shared briefly with your audience and you today, Rashad, and I want to create the ultimate training program of my life. The ultimate. I want to take everything I know about influence, persuasion, business development, entrepreneurship, all of these principles. So I am in the process. It's not ready yet, but if people will go to the Shift Project, and I know you'll put a link, the shiftproject.academy, you'll get to my brand new website. It's less than 30 days old, and you'll get to review a training program that's not done yet. In the next 2 weeks, I will finish it. But I am taking every piece that I've ever created for corporate clients, for my own 665,000 distributors. I put it all in one lovely place, and people should just check it out. It's a lot of fun. The program's a great program.
You know, and one of the beautiful things about what you do is your energy, and you've shown that life has stages in it for that person that's stagnant, for that person that feels like this is all I'll ever be. This is why this show was created, because if you put limitations on your mind, you'll stay exactly the way you are. But if you're willing to take a risk, willing to listen, and sometimes just willing to just explore on your own, you will find great and wonderful things, and you'll find out you're more than what you thought you ever could be. You know, I would never have gotten a chance to hear this story if I hadn't started this show. And I don't even call it a story. I would never have allowed, you would have never shared your life and your success and your trials along the way if I hadn't done this show. So for that, I'm extremely grateful.
Rashad, this isn't the end. This is the beginning of, as they say at the end of Casablanca, a beautiful relationship.
It is.
I plan on knowing you for all the years that God gives me left on the planet.
I as well, too. And I will tell you that I'm a better person for doing this show. I truly am. I saw life through a different lens than I never. It has taken me places sitting in my dining room that I never would normally have been able to get to, right? And so I know that my mind and my heart are in the right place doing this show. So I want to thank you for allowing me to pick your brain and you give your time on the Randomness of Nothing podcast.
God bless.
God bless you too, sir.
Go Celtics.
Most people don't realize how much their personal information is being bought and sold every day. Data brokers are making billions, pulling details about you from public records and the internet, and then packaging and selling it, usually without your consent. That's how your information lands in the hands of scammers, spammers, even stalkers. It's why you get endless robocalls and why ads seem to follow you everywhere. That's where Aura comes in. Aura actively removes your data from broker sites and keeps it off. They also instantly alert you if your information shows up in a breach or on the dark web. But Aura goes beyond data protection. With one app, you get a VPN, antivirus, password manager, spam call protection, dark web monitoring, and even up to $5 million in identity theft insurance, all backed by 24/7 US-based fraud support. Other companies might sell just credit monitoring or just a VPN. Aura gives you all of it, together, at the same price competitors charge for just one service. Start your free trial today at aura.com/remove. Protect yourself now at aura.com/remove.